contents on the Black Radar YouTube channel. Please consider subscribing to show your support.
Glad you waited. Go ahead.
Mr. Donahue, at the onset of the show, you inflamed your white audience by describing the men accompanying Reverend Farrakhan as intimidating. They appear to be gentlemanly to me. But anytime a black man speaks out against injustices perpetrated against us by white people, there's something wrong with him. And you've helped to contribute to that attitude by suggesting that these men who are with Reverend Farrakhan are somehow intimidating and fierce-looking.
Well, they are intimidating.
No. They're not.
No. You don't think he's intimidating?
No, I do not think they're intimidating. They are doing
Are the Secret Service intimidating?
They certainly don't look.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Are the Secret Service intimidating? Are the police intimidating?
All right.
Well, what kind of society do we live in then?
Yeah, don't miss her point, though. She's saying, so she feels this is a white media attempt to what? Trivialize the guest?
Not only that, if any time a black man speaks out against the injustices perpetrated against us by whites, there's somehow the meaning that they're somehow diminished. What the purpose is diminished by suggesting that well these men are they're fearful.
No. I understand your point. I think your point should be considered. I truly do. Minister Farrakhan, thanks you for your support. You will not be upset with this bleeding heart white liberal if I call your attention to the fact Louis Farrakhan is, as I said, drawing larger and larger crowds, and boy, I'll tell you this, you're getting right up there with all those TV evangelists. You got stuff to sell now. And that's legal here in America. But how do we know you're not a Billy Sunday? And not to mention, you know, we've had an awful lot of terrible things happen in the name of the Lord down through the years, the most recent of which might be entitled the Jim Jones escapade. Now, I'm not here to suggest that you're capable of that kind of behavior, Minister Farrakhan, but you will not be upset with me for saying that folks like you have a responsibility to retain some humility and not presume that you are the possessor of absolute truth, and to reach out, perhaps, for a dialogue, something that your rhetoric does not promote.
I would be very glad to have a dialogue. In fact, I asked for a dialogue with the Jewish leadership of the B'nai B'rith. They denied that. Sir, with all due respect to you, the popes are supposed to be infallible. Yeah. But history tells us they made many, many mistakes and were responsible for a lot of wrongdoing.
Something that's been called to the attention of our audience here on more than a few occasions.
So when a black person stands up and gathers thousands of black people to listen to him, automatically whites fear. Why do you fear? It is because you feel a guilt. And that guilt is that one day blacks are going to repay whites for the evil that they poured on us. That's why you don't want a black person to be a strong black leader.
Yeah, I'm concerned about a statement you made at the beginning of the show as far as religion goes. Each one that has their own religion follows their God. Why would you even question what a Jew is when they follow their God? The same as you follow your God and I follow mine.
What I'm questioning is not one's right to follow one's God. I'm questioning a practice of injustice that has deprived Palestinians of their homeland and deprived blacks and Indians of justice in the United States. All the people that deprive us claim to be religious.
But you don't promote. Incidentally, you're not alone, as you must know, in your feeling about that agony. You don't promote the possibility of peace by using words like great to describe Hitler. I still can't believe that you in your heart think there's something promoting the general welfare embodied in that kind of rhetoric.
Sir,
I don't think you believe that.
Again, you know, you are an intelligent man, Mr. Donahue. You know the dictionary. You know the word great, you know what it means, you know the colloquial meaning, and the colloquial meaning is not the actual meaning of the word. So when I said Hitler was great, that meant he was consequential. And your esteemed writers say that the beginning of political acumen today is the study of Adolf Hitler. I didn't say that. Mr. Wills said that.
I thank you for the compliment, and I want to say that anybody with your education and abilities and gifts who is consistently, chronically misunderstood by the majority of people is doing so purposely. You are either selling tickets to your next rally, or you are purposely trying to enrage those against whom you feel you have these...
Mr. Donahue, with all due respect, I think that's a rather mischief-making statement in that you accuse the victim of the crime. Now, I have... Just a minute. If the press gave an accurate distillation of my words to the American people, I would have nothing to say. But the press misrepresented what I said, and you continue to do the same thing.
I mean, he asked a question. He said, Jesus said, love one another as I have loved you. And in another breath, he says, terrorism is in the eyes of the beholder. I want to know what your idea of terrorism is.
Well, first, let me say this, that, you know, it's easy to talk about love. But what is love? If you don't give freedom, justice, and equality, you cannot love. If black people are in America and we've given our sweat and our blood to maintain and build this country and to defend it, and we have not yet acquired real freedom, real justice, real equality, then the hypocrites who continue to say, what is love, or you should love, have not loved themselves.
Over here.
Now,
you wanted to make Sir, hold on.
The program of black people using their resources to rebuild themselves, how can one know more about that and get more involved with that? That's a positive thought.
I think they should
buy the cassettes, the albums.
They should.
That's all right.
They should call an 800 number 1-800-43 and power, and they'll find out all about how we can pool our resources to change the conditions.
What's the number again?
1-800-43 power.
All right.
I would hope that you all would call it.
Yeah.
I was not an ardent supporter of Minister Farrakhan, but in light of the Reagan administration and everything that's been going on in the past 4 or 5 years, to me, Minister Farrakhan has become the castor oil that I think this racist America needs in order to begin to clean us out, because the problem is, the reason that so much opposition is to what Minister Farrakhan says is because it hits to the core, and he's throwing out some statements that hurt, and people are feeling guilty about them. And what happened
doesn't it trouble you that he uses other people's oppression? He manipulates it, and through confused rhetoric seems to almost forgive it, when in fact you and I know, and so does he, that those people who were victimized, for example, in the Holocaust, were victimized by the same kind of fear, hatred, and psychotic behavior that you feel has oppressed people of color all these years. Now, why do that? Why use someone else's agony to try and get attention for your own?
Whose language?
No, we're not using someone else's agony. We're using our own agony.
That's right.
Black folk are agonizing in America, not because of Adolf Hitler, but because of Reagan administration, because of former administration's inactivity to solve the problem of justice for black people.
And the other point is that white America wants us to use their language of oppression, and if we talk the way white America feels, then it's okay, but as soon as we start talking from our black perspective, then all of a sudden it's racist.
And do you know why this is, sister? You know why this is? Yeah. Because most whites actually still feel that they're in the position of the slave master and we're the slave. Just a minute. If that were not so, don't I have the right to invite Mr. Gaddafi or any other African leader, and don't we have the right to listen to what they say, accept or reject what they have to say? Why do I have to apologize to white people for acting as a free black man? I am not your slave.
How do you feel? Let me get this one more in. Let me try it. How do you feel about Ronald Reagan?
You know, I feel that Ronald Reagan is a blessing in disguise to black people.
Tell me how. Tell me. Briefly.
Because Ronald Reagan is one of those winds that will get the dry bones in the valley together. If it were not for government rejection of handouts, blacks would still be looking to white people to do something for us.
That's his position.
Exactly.
And you agree with
I
it?
agree with that position.
So government
I want to see black people do for themselves.
So all those food stamps, wait a minute. All those food stamp programs, all that do-good stuff, all that New Deal, Great Society, Johnson, Bleeding Heart, liberal government handouts, crippled black people.
Exactly. Exactly.
So did you vote for President Reagan in the last?
No, I did not.
You should have.
I did not vote.
You should have.
I did not.
But
I feel that the more Mr. Reagan continues these kinds of policies, the more black people will be forced to rely on themselves. It's one thing to say to America, you've been bad to us. All right. But it's another thing to also say on the other side, look at the blessings we've gotten out of America. We have gotten good education. We have $204 billion purchasing power, which we squander away in riotous living. We need to pull together all black leaders around the serious question of getting black folk to use the resources that we have gained in America to better ourselves. And if we did that, Mr. Donahue, the racist attitude of whites in the country would diminish because they would see black people for the first time in a self-respecting position.
And we'll be back in just a minute. Yes, ma'am.
Minister Farrakhan, what are the international implications of power?
The international implications are that black folk, once we become producers of what we consume, we become a trading partner with other third world peoples that strengthens their rise, our rise, and we can leverage that economic power into political power to redirect the course of this nation.
Over here, please.
How did you feel when even Jesse Jackson had to repudiate you?
I felt that Reverend Jackson is my brother. He had to do that. He was forced to do that. Up to this point, we still have a very warm, brotherly, and friendly relationship.
Over here, please.
I just wanted to say I'd never seen either of you before, and I haven't been able to disagree with anything that the guest has said today.
I just have a question. I'd like to know why everything is black and white. Why can't everybody work together to do this? You just want the blacks here and the whites here and everybody at each other.
No,
that seems to be your position through the whole show.
I appreciate your spirit. And that is that you want black and white to work together. Unfortunately, the society has created a problem that we believe black people have to unite to solve our own problem. Then we can work together with whites to solve other problems.
Over here, please.
I want to know how come there's all this fighting and everything all in the name of God.
Yeah, I want to know that too.
You know, God is always on the side of the oppressed against the oppressor. Historically, it's always been that way. We are an oppressed people. God is on our side.
What?
He's against the oppressor.
Why are you the cause of oppression with what you're saying today?
Pardon me?
Going back to the
I oppressing
anti-Semitic
you?
remarks, and
Am I
please don't
oppressing
get
you?
into a semantic conversation where you're going to try to change your words around and tell us that what you said wasn't what you meant.
Liz,
I don't care for a lot of the things this man has said, but he has made a statement that makes sense to me. Start your own schools, start your own factories, and leave us alone. Fight your own way out of oppression.
I like that.
Are you applauding that?
You know, I must say,
You'll pardon the white liberals back, but hang on just a second.
okay.
Once we've already got this. If we don't learn, if you're going to have black here and white here, sooner or later somebody's going to go to the wrong convenience store. Somebody's going to have consumed a six-pack. Somewhere during the night, the word nigger will be heard, then the word honky, and there goes the whole neighborhood. That's the whole point of the effort that we are, however imperfectly...
I'm very sorry, Mr. Donahue, to do...
The informative information presented in this video is motivational and is positively aimed at inspiring, educating and entertaining the viewers with the cutting edge of critical reasoning. If you enjoy the contents on the Black Radar YouTube channel, please consider subscribing to show your support.